This morning, we are fortunate to have Mr. Keon Chen speak to us about classical civilizations in Europe. Mr. Chen is a modern history expert as well as a lawyer.
In China, normally we do not cite Tang Dynasty or Song poem or ancient classics in our colloquial conversations. But an occasional reference to these sources can add color to our speech and elevate the level of our discourse or show off erudition. The situation is similar in the United States. Classic culture means Greek and Roman culture. It is called the cradle of Western civilization. We still see traces everywhere. For example, July and August in Western calendar are named after Julius Caesar and his nephew Augustus Caesar, respectively. In modern Europe, the Russian emperor was called the Tsar, and the German emperor was called the Kaiser. Both trace their origins to Caesar. Even more commonly used is the Latin designation of the Christian calendar, divided between BC, before Christ, and AD. AD, or Anno Domini in the original Latin, means the year of our Lord. The Romans adopted most Greek cultural heritage, such as the Greek pantheon, except the Greek gods were given Roman names, so there can be confusion. For example, the highest Greek god, Zeus, became Jupiter in Roman times, and the Greek hero, Heracles, became Hercules under Rome. In the modern era, there is still occasional confusion arising from earlier classical heritage. For example, the territory which is more or less Germany today was called Germania by the Romans. The English took the Latin name Germania and turned it into Germany. In 1871, when Germany was unified, the German people did not want the Roman name and chose to be named by its indigenous name, Deutschland. The Chinese, interestingly, accept the name Deutschland and translate it accordingly as De Zhi. In other words, today Germany is called Germany in English, but it is called Deutschland by the Germans and translated as De Zhi in China. Isn't history interesting? The founding fathers of the United States all admired the classical cultures, but to most Americans today, classical culture is antique, esoteric, difficult to comprehend, and impractical. Just mention the world classics culture, and they would only roll their eyes and say, "What are you talking about? It's Greek to me." Fortunately, classical literature contains such a rich treasure of wonderful stories and materials, movie makers of Hollywood find it to be a gold mine. If classical languages and literature continue to circulate, they mostly owe it to movies. Greece and Rome have different heritage. The Greeks are known for their philosophy. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle are household names. But the philosophies which follow them actually appear more often in contemporary dialogues, such as the following skit. They're worth noting. The Roman heritage shows up mostly about political structure, military organizations, wars of conquest, law and order. The public image of Rome is not so wonderful. It is sometimes depicted as an empire built on violence and cruelty. However, bloodthirstiness and orgies are only one aspect of Roman culture, particularly during the almost first 200 years of the Roman Empire, when it had a series of pretty good and competent emperors. Rome's rule is called Pax Romana, or the Roman peace. Considering the vast territory of the Roman Empire, providing peace and stability to its diversified subject was not at all a small accomplishment. Just for fun, Professor Lee and I will read a small skit to show that classics are still alive in our everyday speech.
Hi, Keon.
Thanks for inviting me, Amanda. It has been a long day at my law firm. I can use a stiff drink. How is your work?
That is why I want to talk to you. I'm quitting my law firm. I cannot stand the corruption.
Why? You guys make money hand over fist. I am a hedonist and really appreciate what happiness money can bring.
I can be an Epicurean, but I'm not utterly cynical yet.
You sound serious. Tell me the whole story.
Last week, my boss told me to write this brief and told me the arguments I should make. A rush job. I said, the arguments are complete sophistry. The judge will see through them and throw us out. But my boss made me write it.
So?
Then we went to court. My boss made the same outrageous arguments to the judge. I thought the judge would kick us out. No, he ruled in our favor. The opposing counsel was decimated. He was white as a sheet when the judge ruled.
Oh, then we should celebrate.
No, I may be young, but not unsophisticated. I sensed something smelled, so I pressed my boss for the truth.
And?
He finally told me that the clients had bribed the judge. The decision was wired beforehand. Our arguments were just going through the motion. Smoke screen.
Wow. You know I'm a little jaded about corruption, but this is obstruction of justice.
That is why I'm quitting my job.
I admire your standing up for your principle. The following words and phrases of classical origin are still in use frequently today. A brief explanation does not do justice to their important historical significance, so the reader or viewer should go to reference books to get a fuller understanding. Those words are hedonism, Epicureans, cynics, cynicism, cynical, sophists, sophistry, sophisticated. However, the word decimated exemplifies the ruthless way Rome ruled her empire and deserves a more detailed explanation. When the Roman army was confronted by an uprising in the form of a guerrilla warfare, the Romans would round up the young men of the rebellious population and at random killed 1 of every 10 young men. They would continue the execution until the rebelling people gave up or cooperated or were destroyed. Thus, execution of 1 of every 10 is called decimate or decimation. Both words are derived from the Latin word deci, which means 10. Of course, we all recognize that the decimal system that we learned in high school mathematics also comes from the same Latin words, dexi.